So, I was kind of lacking this week, but then again, it's like I've been really focused on my game. So, here is the preset, well, slash sound design stuff for this week. So, the main patch that I came up with was this, but I want to show the process on how I got around to it. So, I recently got the Prosecute sample pack, and I was looking through a bunch of them, and I saw this one that I actually really enjoyed. It's more of a spectral kind of thing, which got me thinking of working on something similar. So this is what the original preset sounds like. Pretty cool. So I thought, what if I try, because I've never really gone around and used the spectral stuff before. So what I decided on doing is I messed around a little bit. I'm going to show the process for this. So I got this. I don't think it's hooked up to anything. Yeah, I'm going to take it off since I'm not using it. So I came up with, or when I processed it out, it came out like this. Okay. And then I then turned it into this, just resampling and shortening it. I had a little bit of processing on it, but not enough for it to be like completely its own thing. So then what I decided to do is I pulled it into, I'm going to make it bigger since somebody pointed it out in a comment the other day. So then I decided to pull it out, put it into a spectral ordeal, and then I came up with this. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting it as one shot. The filter is literally just raising the high end because it was kind of quiet initially. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting the spread and I'm controlling it a little bit. Not very much, but enough to where it's noticeable. And I'll just play it back real quick. Let me turn off the sub real quick. But yeah, basically with this knob, I'm controlling the spread, and then just for sake of sanity, I also put it in a peak octave -12 because if I mess with this knob, basically turns into like a whole new bass, which was really cool and actually really fun. Ring mod is basically just giving it that pizzazz, I guess is the best way to call it. Basically, it's controlling it a little bit, which is nice too, but also just with the effects that I got going on, just using a soft clipper, have it at 50, compressor to just kind of tone it down a little bit. Obviously, I'm taking out that low end because I have a separate sub that's going along with it, but I'm also raising that the mids a little bit to give it a little bit more of a punchiness to it, as you can hear. Raising the highs a little bit more. I did have a phaser on it, but it didn't really sound right. Like it sounded like this, but it just wasn't feeling right. So I was like, fuck that. Put a plate reverb on it just to give it a little bit more, like, I'll just play without so you can see. Actually, it doesn't really make a huge difference now. I'm looking back at it. It's whatever. Anyways, I just put that on to give it a little bit more like widening in the high ends, which was kind of nice. Obviously, with like Matrix and whatnot, I don't have a whole lot going on since this was like a really basic preset, especially since I'm basically resampling, but it's working in my favor. So then I have LFO1, which is controlling the actual main tuning, kind of just the odd profit thing. Essentially what's going on here, and I'll play it right now, but if I turn the knob, it sounds like this. And I think it's mainly just because of how the sample is and the fact that I'm using a spectral oscillator for it, but it sounds pretty nice. It's pretty cool. Obviously, as you guys probably can't tell, all I'm running on this is these right here. So I just have an OTT basically controlling it a little bit, bringing up the mids, highs, and the little bit of the mid-low, but then I got a Soothe that's controlling that high end a little bit. I got a Pro R, which is putting it at 40, distance and character at 50, stereo width obviously at 50 because I don't want it going overboard. Then for multipass, I just have a distortion. Slice EQ, I'm just taking out the low end again just because it can be a little bit finicky. Bringing up that attack and then putting down the sustain a little bit. The pump is literally just sitting like normal. Probably can't see it too well. But yeah, essentially it's like really all I'm doing with it. But yeah, then it's going into another chain, which will be effects when I actually start working on this again. Just kind of been taking a break. My sub, just the normal stock sub that I've had for fucking ages. I just messed with it so that it could actually like fit the timing around it because LFO2 is like kind of messing with the level for it. But yeah, then you get what I showed you, which just sounds like this. And then with the sub, all I'm doing is the Arcuni method. Or sorry, not Arcuni method. I've been talking to him a little bit more recently. Just the Yudo method, but I'm also adding a saturator to kind of give it a little bit more drive and a little bit more tonality to kind of match it. Messing with the fuzz, just bringing that all the way up as well as the drive. And then I'm just controlling it a little bit with the Pro Q, which is just bringing it down a little bit. Just kind of gives it more of a cleaner tone. And then altogether, I mean, before the main processing, it just sounds like this. Kind of weak. I'll turn each one on slowly so that way you guys get a feel. So essentially I'm doing the Yudo method again, just kind of giving it a little bit more girth. Sounds like that. And then I'm putting Mishbeat on. Yes, Mishbeat. Really all I'm doing, and I found this out recently too, so something that's really cool is, even though, because I know a lot of people kind of talk shit on Mishbeat, like, oh, you shouldn't be really using it, it's whatever. This middle knob actually controls how like the distortion feels, and then obviously this is the normal distortion, so I'll just kind of give you a, so this is what it sounds like normally. Basically, it just gives that crackliness that you're missing. I'm gonna undo real quick, just so I can get those values back. Okay, we're good. But yeah, essentially after that, just messing with Pro Q. I use this a lot. It's just the general mixing, but essentially it really just kind of fixes some of the frequencies, kind of, if that makes sense. Bring that down because I don't know why it's so high. But yeah, basically just fixes it a little bit, and then I have this other Pro Q that's also fucking around with it. Mainly just dipping those these frequencies right here just because it makes it super muddy. And then bringing up that sub just because we're missing a little bit of it. Just gives it a little bit more crunchiness to also like kind of stay on the same parameters, if that makes sense. And then you get that. And then the other thing I wanted to show, because I've been working on trying to make my own drums for a little bit now. So I came up with, so I was using my kick preset. So essentially we all know I just have this stock preset. So I was fucking around with it and I got this. A little bit more touchy, I guess. I don't know how, or clicky, I guess is the main way to say it. Essentially the way I got it was mainly just with distortion. Turn that up to 4, mess with the attack, bring it up, bring the sustain down, the pump down a little bit, and then I put on a disperser to give it a little bit more of that tonality that we all know and love. But yeah, pretty much that's it. I didn't really get a whole lot done. I think I have like one other preset, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think I do. I'm gonna check real quick. Um, yeah, that was really it. Just because I've been focusing on my game for a minute, just because it got an update recently. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, be here for next week, and I will see you guys then. Gonna try to push out a little bit more presets and whatnot, so that way we can get it moving. But like I said before, there will be a whole pack for this at the end of the year. So if you're interested in getting that, I think I'm gonna have it for like $5. It should be a pretty big pack by then. So, all right, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.